So just trying to anticipate the colors, whatever colors you have right now. I have an array, and just thinking of the color wheel from pink and white to red and yellow, maybe mixing some of those pieces together, and then to start just with the composition again, looking at this entire page to see where I'd want to place it, and trying to take a look. Now this is a different kind of askew angle, and building it up from there. And almost trying to animate, or at least look at it, how it could be a little more alive and in there, just kind of this large dotted circle in here. And building this up. So just kind of looking at some ideas for the highlights. Remember, a cross contour is going to separate this section just as a three-dimensional model, which we'll try. And this section here. So it's kind of lightly laid out, and then the next part is to really try to look at some of the contour lines, whether they're dark or light. You can always go in there with a darker value, placing it in there like this. And it's a lot of shine. The tricky part is that the glow covers up the structure, so you have to be pretty careful, as the highlight of this reflection shows the circle, at the same time giving it the value. So it gets pretty frostedly thick. And any of these highlights that you see are still based off of the light structures that are at the top, so it's a round light fixture, so that's actually going to be a round piece divided, and this becomes a distorted highlight as opposed to something that was more of a rectangular solid geometric shape. So this is trying to, so the highlights are kind of following off this piece, so don't be tricked into what it's representing there. And then as this frosting blends off there, try to take a look at it. And also think, if this is in an advertisement, food photography, everything that they do is a whole nother menu in there. There. And again, as it changes the color, you can opt. And a heavy line is not going to hurt it, because you'll be able to blend in this pretty quickly. Setting that up. So now, just like before, trying to give it a base color, the texture of the paper, depending on what style paper you have. And it's a good idea just to kind of block it out. I'm going to leave the paper for the highlight. So you can see it almost like a two-tone value just between the light of the paper, the pencil, and the coloring from that part. So like right in here, there's no real highlight. The frosting section. And some of the highlights, just by the fact of the drawing, I could probably leave in there, even though I didn't plan them 100%. Just kind of gets me thinking of that section. So you have to kind of think of the light source hitting an irregular shape, even though it's somewhat geometric, into that scale there. Again, just kind of thinking of this almost like a painting, giving it a light wash of color placed down in there. And again, once it's there, I can put some dark values in there that I can mix. The paper that I'm using has a little more of a tooth to it. It's going to allow me to illustrate that a little bit. And again, thinking of the colors as they mix, the complementary colors are going to give you the brown mixture that you go with. You're just mixing some. So right now this part of the donut is pretty much on the surface. So until if I really want that solid color, I just have to push it down where I lose the texture a little bit. But now it blends in with the color. And here I'm just using a little bit of a pink color to mix in there. It's reflected. So the reflected light also shows reflected color into that section there. So now going back into the hot pink colors. See if I can lay those in a little darker. Here I can mix it with a lighter cream color or a white. So here's where the lighter color's mixing in pretty good. here you can establish a pretty good dark in the center here. Looking at some of the textures there. Mixing a little dark blue in there, gets a little purple. You're just trying to get a darker value in there. So it's tricky to trying to illustrate the bright colors and still get the form.